Hello and welcome to the NCG Mental Health and Wellbeing podcast. Today I am joined by Ryan.
Hello.
Aliesha.
Hi.
And Luke.
Hey there.
And I'm Ben. So today we're going to be focusing on creativity's relationship with mental health. So the whole subject around today's podcast will be focusing solely around creativity. So we're going to be running through a useful article written from Bupa, written by Marcella McAvoy, and it covers some of the key things creativity can provide for mental health. So we'll jump straight into it. So number one is it's increasing happiness. So the being in the flow that can boost your well-being. So it says that repetitive activities, no matter how creative they are, so whether you like drawing, painting and stuff like that, it can all help to flood your brain with dopamine, so a feel-good chemical that can motivate us. So have you guys got any repetitive activities that you like to kind of indulge in creatively?
I absolutely love painting. It kind of works wonders for me when I'm just not in the mood on a daily basis. And once I'm doing it, I get into it and I can actually express myself really well with it.
Do you have like a specific type of thing you like to paint when you're feeling creative, or is it just kind of like a whatever goes?
I usually just paint up any canvas. I'll just get a canvas and I'll just spray a load of paint on it and just see whatever it makes.
Oh, cool.
If it looks pretty, then yeah, it's good.
Do you find that you really create, like in terms of choosing like colour and stuff like that? Are there any specific colours that you find to be a little bit more like inspirational with creativity and stuff like that?
It is pretty much the normal neutral colours, but I pretty much go for something bright. I think it's bold and bright, the better.
I think that's you see that in a lot of like art galleries and stuff like that. The brighter and the bolder ones they catch everyone's eye more.
The better it is.
Yeah, and I mean even the really minimalist ones that are like just grey. I mean, there's still creativity in that, I guess. Whatever you can find out of it.
They are still pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Luke and Ryan? Do you guys have any like activities that you like kind of repeating?
Moving away from sort of say video games, because that always seems to be my go-to. But I think one thing a lot of people don't know about me is how much I like to cook. I love experimenting when it comes to cooking. It's something I discovered whilst at uni. First, it was just something that I kind of learned just to survive, but then it turned into something that I was sort of genuinely passionate about. So I love just trying out different cuisine, anything that's just to break up sort of the mundane routine of things I'm eating throughout the week, because I'm always having those god-awful Tesco meal deals just to survive. Don't get me wrong, it's a good deal, but there's only so many I can stomach in a week.
There's not so much, it's very little in creative cuisine when it comes to Tesco meal deal.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You can only get so much creativity out of a pack of quavers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What's that recently? Just thinking off the top of my head, I had sort of was a grilled marinated beef with some fried rice and kimchi. If you haven't had kimchi, by the way, it tastes a lot better than it smells. It's one of those things that
I have recently tried it. Yes, it smells horrendous, but it actually tastes quite good.
Where's it from? What kind of is it like a solid
Korea.
kind of food, or is it like?
It is. It's okay. If I say it to you, it's going to sound awful. It's fermented cabbage.
Oh, right.
But trust me, it tastes a lot better than it sounds. It basically Korean. It's the mainstay in Korean cuisine. Basically, they have it along as a side dish along with everything else, and on its own, it doesn't taste all that great. But along with, if you have it with a main dish like rice, beef, chicken, it just tastes absolutely amazing.
Cool.
It's a
fermented cabbage sounds like a good name for a band, to be fair. So there's some creativity in there.
I could definitely see it happening. Yeah.
Yeah, you make it a thing. There we go. What about you, Ryan? Do you have any activities that you like repeating?
I think one that I do really enjoy a lot is like colouring. That I like painting. Sorry, I do a lot of colouring and stuff, and like colour by numbers is like, because I'm not that great of a painter. I'm not very good at like illustration. Doing the creativity of like colouring by numbers and stuff, but then also doing things without numbers, so that I get to choose my own colours. I've recently started a new book in colouring, and it kind of, I get to experiment with different bits and stuff, and it helps me kind of go into state flow of creativity. And with that, it goes into other things, like I create songs, I make music and stuff like that, and it definitely I think it's a good stepping stone into, it's like a gateway into getting more creative. Is something as simple as just colouring by numbers.
Would you say it would like? Do you find that it's more of like a switch off kind of thing with colouring? Because I've seen a lot of people who just do like colour gradients and stuff like that, going through all different shades of blue and whatnot, and they seem to either really focus on it like hyper attentively, so they'll always be locked onto it, or they'll be completely in more of like a meditative state, kind of really out of it.
I'd say it's very much, it depends on the day, really. I guess it's like, if I'm like wanting to engage my brain into something more creative and stuff like that, I might start with that. I might sit at my desk and colour for a bit, and then be like, okay, I've got like my creative mindset on, and then I start working on music or something like that. Or if I need to wind down and I'm like, I need to go to sleep and stuff, I might just colour something a bit more simple, not really go as bold with the creativity, and let it help me simmer down and eventually help me, get some rest or something.
Cool.
I'm just curious, when you guys are doing, painting and drawing, are you always listening to music when you're doing these activities?
I'd say
usually have
usually.
music on.
I either like I'm pretty sure everything creative I do, I've always got music on in the background. I always find that like I always do it specific by mood. So if I'm creatively feeling something that I need to be, I like listening to kind of like film soundtracks are really cool because you can kind of pick the mood of them.
Can you give me one you've listened to recently?
I like to listen to a lot of Hans Zimmer, so I go through a lot of the Chris Nolan Batman movies. I have on repeat all three of them.
Yes,
but,
that's perfect.
Quite tense, that.
I know. Because they're really tense as well. So it's a case of sometimes there'll be moments where it's like really chill and it's really like, okay, cool, and then suddenly it blasts in and it's okay. Sometimes I'll have to change.
Puts you on the spot.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have to change.
Imagine.
Yeah, I'll have to change to like a really like 80s movie to kind of calm me down or something like that.
I've always wanted to try opera music. I don't know why, but it's been a thing of mine. I would actually love to try opera and see what I actually create with my paint.
A lot of
I have
Richard Wagner's stuff. Have you heard Ride of the Valkyries before? That's like the most common one. Like that one is, if you're looking to kind of get motivation for creativity, that's certainly one that will get you out of bed.
I'm gonna add that to my list.
It's really. Operas, like, not to get too historical, but operas had like a kind of thing of those were the only forms of main entertainment aside from books, like, years ago.
Crazy.
So it's a case of opera was everyone's form of TV, film, and video games all in one. But luckily we've branched out in terms of mediums now. So this actually links into the next one, which is like improving people's mood via mental health. So it's also said that creative activities can help people deal with different types of trauma and negative feelings. So again, I think, it goes the same for whether it's opera or painting or whatever. It always has a calming effect on the brain and body. So in the Bupa article, it says studies have found that activities such as painting, drawing and writing can enable people to express or manage their emotions in a positive and productive way. Do you guys find that whenever you finish doing your kind of bit of creativity, you always seem a bit more positive or productive?
I feel really proud of myself, not gonna lie, because you kind of draw what you feel and what you think, and it just you kind of are proud of what you've made, to be honest. So yeah, mine's pretty much around Disney characters. I did attempt drawing Stitch, and I was so damn proud of that. Honestly, I don't know where I put it now.
It's a shame. It's a shame this podcast isn't video. We could have done like a whole creative gallery of everyone's work.
Yeah, I'd like to have added an element like that. But for me, I guess when it's cooking, it's one, relief, and two, just comfort. I always tend to focus on sort of comforting food, so I guess that's kind of my outpour. But when it comes to, I don't think I definitely wouldn't call myself a painter by any means, but the one I suppose I do branch into when it comes to painting is modeling, which is kind of a very niche hobby, but it definitely takes me out of the routine of looking at a computer screen all day. Because don't get me wrong, I love everything digital. I love technology, but the issues is it can be quite straining, especially in regards to just sitting down at a desk and looking at the screen all day. It really messes up with your sleep schedule. But
I find that having the physical thing in front of you kind of not relaxes, but kind of stimulates you more to just be more calm in that scenario.
No, absolutely does. And I actually thought virtual reality would give me sort of the same relaxation, but I found out that it doesn't. It's more hyperactive. It's just more of an interactive element of things I've been doing before with video games. It's not as I don't think we've quite hit it yet when it comes to creating things in virtual reality, because there's loads of amazing technology that allows you to build models and buildings and even cooking virtual 3D, etc.
Cool.
But
So you can
it's
cook,
cool.
cook dishes in VR as a
Yeah, but I can't taste them, so what's the point?
Wow.
It just
Mate,
make you
that's
more hungry,
crazy.
surely.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
it just makes me.
yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, it looks so good. I want to eat it, but I can't.
A guy can
It
wish.
sounds like hyper-extended creativity to the point where you can't actually like reap the benefits of what you've created.
Yeah,
It's more of a
exactly.
case of it's there, but it's not really there.
Exactly.
Actually, you just reminded me there. A virtual reality. I actually went onto one of their machines like somewhere in the just like in an arcade, and I think I was on that like about a week ago, and I was absolutely petrified. I will not be going back. It was the most scariest thing ever. I had a goblin
Oh,
crawling on my legs. I do not want that to happen again. So yeah, bad experience.
It sounds like the opposite of mental health stimulation.
Yeah, definitely the opposite.
Well, that's I'm sure everyone listening to this will be duly noted now.
Be aware.
Yeah, it says here that like it can help you express your goals as well and your experiences that may be too difficult to put into words. So that's quite interesting. It's the idea of whatever you indulge in. It's that case of even if you don't want to say something out loud, whether that personal stuff, you can help translate that through the art. So whether it be I don't know making a dish in VR. If that helps, you could be talking to yourself whilst you're doing that. I mean, even then, that's still stimulation. I know.
that's me. It's me just going, God, I forgot the peppers. I've got to chop the onions.
Yeah.
Yeah, just running around. It does stimulate the feeling. I guess for those who do want to learn cooking but not burn the house down, it's a good stepping stone.
Yeah, a good kind of.
I think one thing that I quite have noted from all of this is that through making music, as I said, around my colouring is like that's a good way of experimenting how I feel, putting it into a song or putting it into words and getting it out. And so I completely understand this topic in terms of stimulating the brain, feeling like I've got it out of my system.
You find like it's quite natural when it flows. So like even if you are going from say doing colours, like does that feel like a natural progress for you to move straight onto making music?
Absolutely, it just kind of it puts me in the mind frame of wanting to explore the depths of how far I can take my music and stuff and what I can do, and it helps me kind of be more bold with what I create and stuff. So I think it's really like something that's helped me stimulate my my mental health issues in the past and stuff. So I really think that the article has reminded me of what real like positivity I get from just simply colouring in by numbers.
Well, one of Bupa's specialist mental health nurse advisors says that creativity can incorporate other positive activities for our well-being, such as socialisation, if we take part in groups or travel further afield to attend interest museum arts or galleries. I know for myself when I'm working on my own animated show, and if I'm stuck for writing episodes or plot ideas or characters and stuff, I find myself if I'm in a group of like friends or something like that, I always run by ideas, just not so much to make corrections for my own work, but just to get everyone else's consensus. So it's that thing of like I enjoy pulling ideas in with other people because it stimulates me even more.
That's the constant practice. I mean, it's something I keep doing in my teaching, and it's something I encourage my students to do as well constantly. It's just always applying that. Just it doesn't matter what you've got, just run it by someone else and see that you're not crazy, but also just keep using them as sort of something to feedback on, right? Even if you're just talking to, it's a bit crazy. I did see someone talking to a chair once, but let's not get into that. That it's just basically using just using something to feedback on, because it gets you verbally getting these thoughts out loud, getting you thinking, and then hearing it back on yourself. You think, okay, maybe I can do this instead, or maybe I can do that. But it's funny you talk about the social aspects of creativity, because I often do think they go hand in hand quite well. a little bit off topic, but have you guys ever played Dungeons and Dragons or heard of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Stranger
You've heard of it,
Things.
it's very stimulating.
It is. I feel like I do feel like it kind of gets a slight bad rep from those who haven't played it because they think it's exclusive for a certain select group of individuals. But in my experience, I found that literally anyone can do it, anyone can play it, anyone can express themselves in it. And there's been a lot of studies in regards to the positive effects of D&D, how people have been using these sort of campaign experiences just to find ways to express themselves, and whether it be socially, or whether they want to complete certain goals. It's a really great funnel for that, and it's also just a hell of a lot of fun.
I know. I've seen quite a lot of people. It's very narrative based, isn't it? So it's a case of
it is. Yeah.
It's based on how much you can amalgamate in your imagination. So the sky's the limit in terms of what you can vision, in terms of what you get out of the game. Yeah, essentially,
there are rules and mechanics that do limit, stops the players from literally flying into the sky, but it's all to sort of achieve a narrative based goal. Yeah. So
it's again in the Booper article, it says a lot of it comes down to increasing your actual function, your brain function itself. So having that creative outlet it kind of stimulates how your brain functions anyway. So that might pass over into when you're working, when you're at work, the way you process problems and stuff like that may link into how you stimulate your brain with creativity. A lot of I know Ryan himself, as you said, you play music and stuff like that. I'm an avid listener and a drummer myself. It says in the Booper article that a creative outlet like music or learning an instrument is a very good way to help improve your cognitive function. I know as a drum teacher myself, I can definitely say watching people learn how to play instruments is a very interesting one. It's almost like they're picking up loads of different functions psychologically all at once. But they always seem to have it under that bracket of no matter how much frustration there is, they're always got a smile on their face because it's something new. Have you guys tried playing instruments before or something like that?
But you've just reminded me of that. I remember when I actually attempted to play the guitar. Well, that didn't go out well. It's really hard, actually. You know what? But something I would give a try in the future. I find it hard, really hard.
So I have like a piano phase in secondary school. I don't know what was going on. For like 2 years, I just sort of try to tackle the learning the keyboard, and it was fun for a short while, but then I kind of got more. I kind of realized that I wasn't really creating. I was more just following covers. I wasn't really coming up with my own music because I didn't really understand how to make music. I just knew how to copy, so it kind of fell out.
Did you ever consider learning another instrument or retrying the same instrument you previously played?
Thought about it, but I think I've got enough hobbies now, and I think I know what it is that I like in terms of just being when I want to be creative. I think I know what my main hobbies are now.
Music's a really odd one because it's that case of I've met lots of people who have either been really put off of it by one kind of thing, being like they've either struggled with performance anxiety or something like that. But it's really interesting how much like when people invest in practice time and just really kind of being in there again, it's creative space and letting your kind of brain do its work. If you keep hacking at it straight away with practice, you'll always see improvement. I've met so many people who are like, oh, I can't sing or I can't play guitar or anything like that. I've tried, but and after maybe a couple of practices, after a few weeks, they're off, doing their gigs and stuff like that. It's really interesting to watch that. I think because it's very rudimentary in the way it works with instruments. It's that case of you've got set things to learn, but you can then build upon that with it's like painting and stuff like that. You've got tools that you use as fundamentals, but the creativity is kind of there. I would say copying and kind of playing other people's works, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I think it's really, as a drummer, like the amount of times I've had to play other people's songs and stuff like that, I don't really have much of an issue with it because it's that case of, again, everyone, you're almost simulating what another person's thought processes would be, which is quite cool.
It's a common practice. I get a lot of students when they come into sort of game design, they expect they're going to be playing a lot of games, and I do make them play a lot of games, just not the games that they want to play. None of the games that they played previously, because in order to get an understanding of what the designers were doing when they made this game. You actually have to experience it. It's not enough to just watch a let's play. So it's getting involved more in with the creative process, and it's a little bit of fun as well.
So moving into our last segment, we're probably going to move on to things that we've creative works that we've been indulging in that stimulate our mental health. So we're going to go around each and kind of do a suggested piece of material. So I think we're going through a mix of material. So who would like to start?
Okay, I'll hit it first.
Yeah, no worries. Take it away.
All right. I think we suggested books, didn't we? I wasn't sure what to bring to the first meeting today, so I just kind of picked one that loads of people I know kind of fell in love with. It's a book called The Things You Can Only See When You Slow Down, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the author's name because I'd be a terrible job at it. But I picked this up in university, and I didn't get around to it at first. But when friends started to come around, they'd always notice the book, and one of them, I let one of them borrow it, and a week later they said it changed a lot in their life, and it happened again with another friend a few weeks later. So then eventually I basically got around to the book, and it's really it's definitely unlike any self-help book I've read, simply because it is in essence something very simple, and it's not how do I put this? It's not very in your face about it. It's literally just giving you sort of words of wisdom by a guy who's also a monk, who's happened to travel and experience a lot of what life has to offer. So he's been through
like small philosophical pieces in a sense.
Yeah, it's philosophical and not at all political, right? It's all just to do with self-improvement, little bits of wisdom, and just how to sort of keep calm in a very stressful and a very overwhelming life. So it doesn't try to tackle issues of global warming and war, terror, and all that stuff, right? Just focus on the things that are essentially closest to you. So if I could just read one bit here, loads of people kind of get their own sort of medicine from this book. One quote I particularly like is, "Wear confidence, it is the height of fashion." Just weird stuff like that is just is completely filled this book, and I still use.
Sounds quite bite-sized, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Loads of. If you've ever read, I guess it's a weird one, like The Art of War. It's just like little snippets, quotes, things that you can use. It's not one of those quote books though, where it's just every page there's a new quote. Most of it, he does talk about his experiences and then applies things he's learned from certain things he's experienced. Things like getting really frustrated of not being able to clean the dishes properly. So things like that, all you have to do is just apply a bit of cold water, a bit of soap, and just let time do the rest. And a lot of that applies to a lot of things in life. Time is essentially the big healing factor. I think his famous quote is, "Don't struggle to heal your wounds. Just pour time into your heart and wait. And when your wounds are ready, they will heal. They will heal on their own." Yeah, it's just a lot of things like that, and everybody can take their own bits of wisdom from it. And
just a quick one with that. What was the name of that one again? Just so
it's cool. It's a long title. It's called "The Things You See Only When You Slow Down." Sorry, the things you can see only when you slow down.
That's a long one to stick into Amazon, that one.
Yeah, it is. God, so no, I had trouble finding the book again because I couldn't remember the bloody title. Cool. You'll recognize it instantly though by the blue background. So yeah.
Awesome. Aliesha, did you have anything?
Yeah, I do have this book. I actually got it. Let's see, I got it last year. Well, I wasn't really in a good place, so I kind of seen it on Amazon because quite a lot of people were recommending it, and I got it. It's called Good Vibes, Good Life by Bex King. So pretty much this book is about self-love and like the key to like happiness. And I kind of realized like the dude himself, like he wasn't really in the best of positions when he was raised, and he had to kind of work for things. But what he kind of says in the book is kind of a nice way to think of life. Of how there's actually quite a lot of like quotes you could say. Like I could go on with how many quotes are on that book, but personally I would say it has kind of improved for me personally with the key of like doubting myself all the time. I've kind of like improved my mood and how keeping a balance of like having to accept myself and knowing that you deserve better, and then obviously working towards the best version of yourself. Kind of do like the idea of what it kind of portrays. So if you do like something,
would you say it kind of provides a lot of answers to a lot of things people don't really acknowledge in their day-to-day kind of thing?
Yeah, like I personally feel like, obviously, like even my own friends like around me, I do see a lot of like people who doubt themselves a lot, and I know that they can, you know, do so much, but there's only so much you can do for yourself. And obviously the book itself, just a nice way of like looking at how to, like, you know, they look at things in a positive way no matter how bad things can get. And it's just like quite good to like recognize that obviously you matter, and obviously you can always do better than what you think you are.
I think that I mean, a lot of those things that you said, I mean, a lot of people go their day-to-day lives not really acknowledging kind of the key functions of how we need to be happy and how what goes into happiness. People kind of ignore that you can be happy in day-to-day life, which is an interesting one, because I mean, I know for a fact if you'd stop someone on the street and then, you know, ask them about happiness or something, the instant thought is, oh, hang on a second, I've never really thought of that. Do you know what I mean? Which it's quite an odd one, but
exactly.
I suppose if books like that can kind of bring to light is it in more of like a storytelling format, as in the author's kind of story, or?
It is more of a, yes, it is, yeah. He's kind of like obviously coming out of like his own situation, obviously with financial, emotional instability, all of that stuff kind of come into it. And obviously he kind of worked his way up into getting where he wanted to be, where he is today. A quote I actually really like of what he like, it's like he motivates you to do better in the things that you want to do, which is kind of what I want. Like I don't have that motivation there, but there's a lot of things I know that I can actually do, but I just don't actually put myself to it. But obviously when you think about it in a good way, it's better. Like
has it helped you practically in the sense that you've used a lot of the kind of teachings in that?
Yeah, because I doubt myself a lot, and obviously I know I can always do better. So I kind of like the quote he mentions where, step out of your comfort zone and face your fears. Growth takes place when you're challenged, not when you're comfortable. And obviously it kind of just puts this in my head where obviously I can't stay comfortable in the position I'm in. I should always do better. So it kind of puts that into us where I should always, you know, go for higher, not less.
Cool. That sounds very interesting. What was that one called again?
It's called Good Vibes, Good Life.
Awesome. And who's that by?
It is by Vex King.
Excellent. Cool. Right. So Ryan, I believe, did you have? I know you mentioned. Did you have a song? Was it?
Yeah. Seeing as I'm not a big reader, unfortunately, my attention span is very limited, so I struggle to read. I have a song which I felt is quite an important song of recent years. It's the song by Logic, who is a rapper / pop star who did a song for suicide awareness, and the name of the song is the suicide prevention number in the United States, and it became a very popular song. It topped charts, and it actually helped people contact the number, and the number had a increase of 50% of calls.
That's a big increase, isn't it?
Yeah, there is about as a decent percentage of people that were between the ages of 10 to 19 years old contacting, saying they're having suicidal thoughts. And
wow.
You know, this kind of stuff is obviously very important with the modern era and how social media portrays everybody's lives as being very positive and everything's always good, but no one ever really tackles the darker mental battles that people go through on a day-to-day basis. So a song like this wasn't very much needed.
Does the song cover the would you say the song covers more of a like an approach of how people kind of operate on mental health in truthful terms rather than more of like a media focused kind of self-help kind of perspective?
It very much, like with the tell of the song is from a position of somebody that is going through mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And so like it is told like a story, like Aliesha's book was also told like a story. It's like from a perspective of somebody who it obviously it doesn't feel like they deserve to live anymore, but that they also are afraid to die, so they simply don't know where to go, what to do, and it's a song to tell people not to not to, don't choose suicide as an option. You have so much to live for, and it's been celebrated. It was performed at the 2018 Grammy Awards, and
I was just about to ask, because it received kind of mainstream attention.
it received a lot of mainstream attention. It topped charts all over the world, and it received Grammys. It was performed at the MTV Awards in 2017 and the 2018 Grammys, as I said. And yeah, it's a lot of it's a good way to push that good narrative to a more modern and younger audience, as obviously a lot of younger people aren't reading as much as the other people, like the older generations are. So it was good to get something like this out to the young generation in case they are feeling down, maybe through traumas of their own or mental battles that they don't feel like talking about.
And what was the song title of that one?
The song title is the Suicide Prevention phone number.
I won't ask you to. I mean, you can read that out if you want to.
But 1-800-273-8255. I mean, obviously that's not the UK's number, but I'm sure if
people want to listen to the track, I'm sure they could follow that one. And that was by
Logic.
Okay, cool. So I believe, so I've been reading through. I've been trying to get as much reading in as possible because I found that I work quite a bit, so I've been trying to find loads of free spaces to fit in some reading. So I find it quite therapeutic, or at least taking my focus off of work. I've been reading The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. It's not so much a book on mental health, but to me, I find it's based within kind of tellings of research of mythology across multiple cultures over hundreds of thousands of years. So Joseph Campbell basically spent his whole life researching loads of different cultures and how they tell stories through campfires or children's stories and stuff like that. And it all revolves around a hero's journey, in particular. So they use examples of obviously King Arthur and the sword and stuff like that, and the man going off to slay the dragon and whatnot. And all of these cultures have different tellings of that. So it's usually the same universal story, but it's all changed to fit within different cultures. And I'm about halfway through the book, and it's quite wordy, but it's one of those things where you can navigate quite safely through it all. And it talks, the majority of it talks to the key components of mythology. So it talks about kind of the roles of certain people. It mentions the wise elder, and obviously a lot of these have parallels to our normal life. So obviously I'm sure everyone's had the wise elder in their own life and stuff like that. And it talks about the mother's role in stories and whatnot.
That's really interesting. So it's analyzing all the different hero tales across different mythologies and different cultures.
Yeah, so it's kind of compiling a lot of the general information of what can be taken from each of these myths. And it's quite cool because it has one of those things where you know they're all going to be different, but at the same time they're all universally the same, which I think says a lot for how humanity as a whole tells stories. We have a tendency to fall into these natural things because they're a parallel of our normal lives. The parent roles, the role of the adventurer. And stuff like that, and it's quite cool because I know I write a lot of I'm writing for my own television show, and it really helps kind of shape the way I do narratives, and it's scary how much it parallels back to the way everyone lives their lives. Everyone has their own hero's journey in a sense, which I think kind of links back to the way positivity and creativity and mental health and stuff. Knowing that these things parallel real life kind of inspires me a bit more. Knowing that these stories out there, I mean, everyone has their own kind of journey, but it's just nice to see it wrapped up in more of a mythologized form.
I was going to say, is there anything that's stood out to you in the book so far? Any particular mythology that's really maybe caught you by surprise?
What I found really interesting is how it's kind of influenced 21st century creations and stuff like that. I know Joseph Campbell was for any Star Wars fans out there, there's George Lucas was big friends with Joseph Campbell, so a lot of the archetypes in Star Wars that we see, your Darth Vaders and your Luke Skywalkers and stuff like that, they're direct parallels to these old mythologized heroes, and they all fit the same roles within this book. And George Lucas stated that the book was very important to him as well. So it's really interesting to see how the book has been used practically in 21st century mediums as well. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that one. That one's The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. I believe we're just about wrapped up. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. Luke, Alicia, and Ryan. I'd also special credit to Marcella McAvoy from the Booper article. If you want to find that article, it's called How Creativity and Hobbies Can Benefit Your Health. Thank you very much, guys, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks.